The Legends of Ren Zu. Chapter 3, Section 16. After Ancient Moon Desolate Yin understood the meaning of life and sacrificed herself, turning into a life gu gem. Even with the damaged gem piece, Northern Abyss Ice Soul would still be able to bring back their father, Ren Zu. But it was extremely difficult for him to enter the door of life and death. There were only two ways leading towards the door of life and death. One was the road of life, and the other was the road of death. No matter which, there would be lots of suffering gu. In order to overcome these suffering gu, he would need the help of courage gu to enter deep into the door of life and death. Since Ren Zu had already taken courage gu with him when he entered the road of death, Northern Abyss Ice Soul could not have courage to enter the door of life and death. With no other alternatives, he could only wander aimlessly in search of another way. He walked past tall mountains, across steep streams, ran for his life multiple times from wild beasts, experienced hunger in the coldest of days. Northern Abyss Ice Soul had suffered a lot. He was filled with guilt and anxiety, knowing he was the one who gave his sister, Ancient Moon Desolate Yin, the meaning gu that granted her a new meaning in life, only for it to be the one that led her to sacrificing herself to become the human-shaped life gu. He was a murderer. It was him who indirectly got his sister dead. Even with the gem, he still had to get back to Ren Zu's side before his soul collapsed in the Luopo Valley. That would have made Ancient Moon Desolate Yin's sacrifice to be in vain. He walked and walked, until the purple sky above him faded and became black. Normally, the immemorial 9 heavens. White, red, orange, yellow, green, azure, blue, purple and black would take turns looming over the 5 regions at set intervals. The sky of the immemorial antiquity era was connected to the ground. Heavens and earths were linked and people could get themselves into the heavens just by walking. Northern Abyss Ice Soul was wandering without any purpose and had unknowingly entered somewhere deep inside the black heaven. It was dark, yet not barren, rather teeming with life. Northern Abyss Ice Soul was trapped inside the darkness and could not find his way out. He was confused, scared, and lost. He could not tell which way to go, and kept on tripping and falling over and over again. Until one day, he saw a lump of fire in front of him. This was the only source of light in the entire black heaven. Northern Abyss Ice Soul was overjoyed, running towards the fire. He then realized it was a gu.
What gu are you? You can actually give out light in the black heaven. Please help me. I want to leave here and come back to the ground. I have very important things to do.
My name is Fire. Who are you?
I am a human. My name is Northern Abyss Ice Soul. Can you help me? With your light, I will be able to see my way and return to the ground.
The gu sighed.
So you are a human. I've heard of a famous man before. He's called Great Sun Verdant Yang.
Because Great Sun Verdant Yang had reputation gu, his name was known across the entire world. There was almost no one who did not know him.
That's right. Great Sun Verdant Yang is my big brother.
I can help you. But before I help you, you have to help me. I am too hungry. I am going to die of starvation. Go find me some food first.
Fire gu, what do you eat? This place is so dark. How can I find what you need?
I am the least picky gu bug in the world. I can eat almost anything. I will eat whatever you feed me.
Northern Abyss Ice Soul looked and found some tree branches, throwing them at Fire gu. It ate the branches and started to shine more brightly and warmly. Its size had also grown from its original size of a fist into the size of a basin. Fire gu was thrilled.
Can you bring me more food?
Northern Abyss Ice Soul nodded and looked around some more. He found a pile of rocks and threw them at Fire gu. It had been a while since Fire gu had eaten, it contemplated.
I was hungry for too long, even my teeth stopped working properly. The things I could chew before, I can't chew now. Bring me stuff that is easier to digest.
Northern Abyss Ice Soul thought about it for a while.
How about this? Fire gu, follow me and light the way. Along the way, whatever you feel like eating, I will feed it to you. Is that good?
Fire gu agreed and condensed into a small lump, letting Northern Abyss Ice Soul take hold of it. This way, Northern Abyss Ice Soul started his journey, feeding many things to Fire Goo as he went. As a result, Fire Goo grew larger and larger. One day, Northern Abyss Ice Soul was resting, with Fire Goo eating next to him, when suddenly, they could hear countless footsteps coming fast. He looked and saw there were trees running towards him. Not only trees, but also beasts and goo bugs. Northern Abyss Ice Soul was extremely scared. He quickly picked up Fire Goo and ran. The trees, wild beasts, and goo bugs were chasing behind him. Wherever Northern Abyss Ice Soul went, they followed. The pursuers shouted,
"Whoever is in front, stop running."
We do not want to harm you, we just want to escape into the light.
Dream realms are about to reach us. Please help us. Let us live under the light of your fire.
Northern Abyss Ice Soul was breathing roughly. He could not run any further. Seeing that he was about to be caught, Fire Goo said,
Oh human, don't be afraid. The ones chasing us are my food. Let me help you. Just toss me there.
Forced by the circumstances, Northern Abyss Ice Soul could only listen to Fire Goo and toss it at the ones that were chasing him. First thing that it touched was a pack of trees. They were the walking meat trees, with tentacles for branches. Fire Goo burned them down. Their branches all turned into cooked meat, which were later enjoyed by Northern Abyss Ice Soul. From the pile of burning meat logs, the flame burst out brilliantly and cried in exuberance.
So many delicious things, so many delicious things.
Fire Goo shouted in excitement. No longer puny and weak, it was now tall and imposing. Its tone was carrying a hint of ruthless madness.
Fire, oh fire! How did you get so big?
I said, I am the least picky when it comes to food. I can eat almost anything. Fire can draw up more fire, a spark can start a wildfire that burns down the forest.
Fire Goo answered with pride. Suddenly, the flame came closer and Northern Abyss Ice Soul took a step back. Fire Goo laughed loudly.
Oh human, do not be scared. You saved me. You are my benefactor. You are my friend. The others are afraid of me, but they need me to deal with those dream realms, so they trapped me here and starved me. Only you helped me, so now you are my true friend. From now on, if you run into trouble, you can count on my help.
That would be great, my friend.
To our friendship.
Still laughing loudly, Fire Goo turned into the form of a human, opening his arm to give Northern Abyss Ice Soul a hug. He immediately jumped back in fear.
Oh fire! Unrestricted passion is the cause for self-burn. Let's keep our distance.
Forced to stop, Fire Goo spun around Northern Abyss Ice Soul, saying,
Oh human, you are so weak. You are not fun.
Northern Abyss Ice Soul was surrounded by the flames.
Don't get too close. It is so hot. Way too hot. Let me out.
Fire Goo opened a path for him to get out. He ran away for a few hundred steps before looking back at the blazing sea of fire with relief. When suddenly, a giant beast came out of the shadow and swallowed him whole.
That is a dream realm. There are so many. They are catching up.
Quickly release my friend.
Fire Goo shouted in anger, striking at the dream realm beasts. When faced with the light of fire, they all melted away like candles. Fire Goo then proceeded to eat up along the dream realm beasts' bodies, trying to reach the one that swallowed Northern Abyss Ice Soul. The dream realm beast started to run away, and Fire Goo was chasing them. The biggest, fastest one was gaining distance. As it turned out, dream realms fed on the emotions and desires of their prey, and Northern Abyss Ice Soul was just filled with immense desire to live and revive his father. Not to mention, he was also filled with anxiety and despair, guilt and regrets, knowing Ancient Moon Desolate Yin sacrificed herself as the result of the meaning Goo he gave her. One could say he was the perfect treat for dream realms. The one that swallowed Northern Abyss Ice Soul was growing fast. Fire Goo growled in frustration, finally getting closer. Trapped inside the dream realm, Northern Abyss Ice Soul saw his sister. She was alive and smiling, saying she forgave him and that he did not do it on purpose. He saw himself at the door of life and death, having already saved his father. And Ren Zu was saying how good of a son he was. If it was not for him, father would not have been saved. His face was filled with a blissful smile. The situation continued for many days. The sea of fire was still burning. Having spread it all over the black heaven, it now had the dream realms surrounded. Under the blazing flames, the dream realms melted away and Northern Abyss Ice Soul was free to wake up from his dream. He immediately understood that everything in his dream was fake. That his happiness was not real, in sharp contrast with the burning hot sensation he felt from the scalding fire. He was pouring with tears, feeling an intense chill piercing into his bones.
Why? Why did you wake me up? I still want to dream. I want to be eaten by a dream realm.
Oh, human, you must know. Dreams are often the opposite of reality. They are fake.
I don't want to listen. I don't care.
Northern Abyss Ice Soul cried out as he covered his ears and shook his head.
I am your friend. I do not want.
Northern Abyss Ice Soul interrupted.
If you are my friend, you should not stop me.
Fire Goo let out a long sigh. Without any better choices, it fell into silence and opened up a path. Northern Abyss Ice Soul jumped into the darkness, searching for another dream realm to consume him again. While you wait for the next episode of Legends of Ren Zu to drop, check out this video where I talk about all there is to know about Goo Masters, Aperture, Primeval Essence, Aptitude, and the 10 Extreme Physiques. This video has been made with much attention not to reveal any vital information from the book, so don't hesitate to give it a try if you have not been familiar with Reverend Insanity and want to become more so.